Ooh, hey, Smooth. I know you're watching, man. Yeah, this Smooth. He's one of our brothers that is suffering right now, but he is under hospital care right now. Probably paying attention. What's up, Smooth? Tony, get in there, man.
I'm ready, Ronbo.
Tony and I, we do this every year, and we'll be doing draft night. And Tony, 2017, we met Kyle Shanahan came at the end of the 2017 season. Mm-hmm. We were all excited about getting him. Then the 2018 season, 2017, it was a disastrous season. And I met Tony during the course of that time, which is really funny. And he was just a little guy. I was a big guy. 2017, 18, how old were you at that time? 14?
I was freshman
13,
year,
14?
yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. 22 now, Ronbo.
I know. I think Tony's about 22 right now. So I was thinking, here's the thing. Because at that time, I took Tony really seriously. And Tony's mom contacted me. I didn't even know she had, well, I guess she went through Tony, through his mail. She contacted me and says, Tony loves talking football, and I appreciate you taking him seriously. And I was thinking, because he's brilliant. So, and it's from that point on, Tony, I think he's my kid as well. So, it's just a wonderful thing.
It was so fun. And back then, too, I know way less than I do now. And looking back, watching some of the episodes is really funny to me.
No, Tony. I used to love. Tony used to have people all PO'd. People getting in the comments saying all kind of nasty things. He can handle it now, though. Tony. So I was telling you earlier, Tony. I don't like being in the top 15. We don't want to become as the Cleveland Browns, the Bears, other teams that find themselves in terrible position each and every year. While the draft is fun, going through 17 weeks of bad football is not fun, and we went through that last year. So. These picks this year are extremely seriously important. And Tony, they're already saying this draft is it's not as good as the previous year or the year before that. As you can tell, there's not a lot of quarterbacks going in the top rounds this year. So that's an indicator right there. There's going to be a lot of position players, of which we need the most, though, which is a good thing. So, Tony, it's up to you. How good are we going to be when you finish up?
This team... Every hole's going to be fixed. You'll see what we do. I'm very excited for this.
Right.
And yeah, I'm ready when you are, Ronbo.
I am ready, Tony. Let's go.
Perfect. So
wait. Let me mention one thing.
Yeah.
Tony loves challenge him if you like. If you want, get in the comments section. Tony monitors the chat. Just put Q, question, anything you want to say. Tony will respond to it, usually kind of quickly. All right, Tony, you got it.
Perfect. So pick 11 is what we have this year. On my board, I went through almost 220 players this year, Ronbo, and I still have a few more guys I want to watch before Thursday. So I was able to get a good feel for the draft. There's only 5 guys I would take at pick 11, and if they're not there, I trade back. And I think it's likely they're not there. So we're going to do 2 trade downs. First, we're trading down to 18 with Seattle. We're picking up picks 82 and 92 as part of that swap. I know a lot of people want a second-round pick, but historically that just doesn't happen very often. So I'd rather get the 2 3s from Seattle. And then at 18, we're going to trade back again with Denver down to pick 20 and pick up pick 122. So my goal with this, the players from 11 to 25 on my board are pretty similar in grade. The guys at the top are a little bit better, and I know that, but to get these extra picks is what I want. So our first pick is at 20, and we're taking James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee. Before I start with any of the play, because he would be a top 10 player on my board most likely, I don't know if he will be on my board come draft night. I still need to figure out what the character concerns are with this guy. I've watched videos, I've read articles where they say he missed workouts, he was skipping meetings, he just has anger issues. There was a guy in my Twitter feed commenting saying, I know a staff member and he says it's all BS. Listening to Chris today, I just went back, looked through his rankings to see what he thought of James Pierce, to see if there's any character concerns. And they were impressed with him. And they said he's all about his craft. He's serious about football. And so I think he'll be on my board come draft night. I just wanted to preface with that. If he doesn't go top 15, that's why, because teams have concerns there. But talk about the athlete. He's very tall, He has a slender frame, but he has more weight than you think. And what I love about him more than anything, Rombo, for a guy that's built like him, he's physical and fierce. He might not overwhelm guys all the time just because he's longer, doesn't have the longest arms, he has a skinnier frame, but he comes to fight. He's a fierce player. In the run game, typically with these speed rushers, they're a liability. I don't feel that way with him. He's not going to be a great winner off the edge like Nick Bosa against the run, but the run game is fine if you need him there. But the pass rush is what you're taking him for. His first step after Abdul Carter and maybe Mike Green is the best in the draft. I think those three stand alone, and then there's a tier after. His straight line speed is awesome. You'll see him just come off the line, and it's like he's teleporting. And what he's really good at, Rombo, what I really like about him, even though he's built like a speed rusher, he plays a power game, and he's very fierce. So when he's converting speed to power, he's overwhelming guys that are 50, 60, 70 pounds heavier than him just because he's creating so much momentum and closing the distance so quickly. His side to side is really good to cross face, which I love as well. The main knock on him would be his hips. They're kind of narrow hips. He can't really sink. If you've seen Abdul Carter, there was a play I watched where he was stunting from the end up the A gap, and he literally contorts his body. It's like someone's squishing him like a soda can after you're done drinking it. And that's like just rare special bend. Pierce doesn't have that. But when you're running a wide 9 alignment, it's a straight line to the quarterback. So it's not really something I worry about a whole lot.
So, Tony, you sound like you're talking about Leonard Floyd. Came out of school the same way. I loved him coming out of college as well. Any comparisons you could draw between Leonard Floyd and Pierce?
I honestly think James Pierce is a little bit more physical, and he's a tad faster. I think Leonard Floyd went 9th overall. I would rather have James Pierce by a hair today. He's not. I don't know. I feel like he's a better pass rusher than Leonard Floyd, and there's still so much he can work on. But his jump from 23 to 24, in terms of the moves he added to his arsenal, starting to put counters together, was honestly really encouraging. So I think they are similar in terms of their profile. Going forward, if he doesn't have these character concerns, I think he'd be better.
And yeah, remember, those character concerns are put out by people who, I don't know, there's strategy going on amongst GMs that they want to degrade players and put it out there publicly so that GMs will like stray away. So you're probably right on target with this.
So, I mean, I hope that guy who said he knows a staff member in my Twitter comments is right. I'm going to keep doing my due diligence. If he were on my board, he'd probably be 10, 11, somewhere around there. He's one of the 16 or 17 first-round grades I have.
All right. Continue.
Cool. Let's go on to pick 43. No trades here. This is a guy that I also have a first-round grade on, Rombo. He's currently my 16th overall player in the class. The reason why I'm taking him at 43, I've seen many mocks where he's going 40, 50, even 55. And so I don't think he's going to go there. My guess is he doesn't get past KC at 31. But I want to talk about him, and it's reasonable to believe that there's a chance he's here at 43 because he's not everyone's cup of tea. But Josh Conerly Jr. out of Oregon, if you're looking at week 1, week 2 of this season, he's not a first-round player. He's probably fringe second round. Maybe you take him in the third. Maybe you think he's a guard even, and I know some people think he projects best as a guard. If you're looking at the first few weeks of the year, I agree with you. End of the year, come playoff time, the last few weeks of the regular season, to me, he was awesome. All of the deficiencies that we talk about with him in terms of his anchor, not setting properly, not having great vision in the run game, I thought as the year went on, all of the technique in terms of hand placement, punch timing, punch accuracy became really, really good. Very smart, great body control, easy mover in space. And so he's going to be able to take care of the run game stuff early, pull from a tackle position. But what I love most is the pass protection because he was going up against Big Ten pass rushers, which is the second best conference in college football, right? You have your Ohio States, your Michigans, and teams like that, and he was holding his own. I thought that he was able to set properly. He has a really good, I call them typewriter feet, where he's just dancing. It's not like a bunny rabbit where he's like hopping, but he's dancing. I like that. Yeah. And I love it. It's perfect. He's able to attack counter moves. He's able to protect the inside. I just felt like this player at the end of the year, people aren't watching the games always because they're looking at the first batch. Weeks 1 through 10, what do we have? I want to look at this player early so I can focus on later round guys come February, March. But I was in love with this film. He's one of my favorite tackles in the class. And if he's there at 43, you run in the card. If he's there at 35, you trade up for him. He's one of those players to me. I think he could play left guard as a rookie. I prefer for him to be a backup swing tackle year one until McKivitz goes next year or until Trent retires. And then he can take over either the left or right tackle spot.
Ooh. And with Chris Forster, you think Forster can mold him into the player that you're talking about, Tony?
I think he's closer than like Forster. I think he does a good job compared to some of the other guys he has to work with. He's just a superior athlete and he's farther along technically than a lot of guys. And you just can't teach that movement either. And so I think, I don't think there's much work that has to be done. He'll come in day one, play fine, and then develop into a great player.
All right, because we need left guard. That's right. Hey.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
For now.
Yeah, I honestly, Burford and Barch, they'll compete. We'll be fine there, but it won't be wow. It'll just be okay for the time being, unless we get a guy like this who can start his rookie year.
Yeah. I like that idea, and that's what that's what the object this year is: picking out guys that can start from week one. So,
exactly. Cool. Are you ready to move on to 61, Ronbo?
I'm definitely ready.
Perfect. So we're trading up. We got all those picks from Seattle and Denver. We're using our own pick 75, pick 113, and pick 249 to move up with Washington. They have like 5 draft picks in this class. They traded for Laramie Tunsil, Deebo Samuel, Marshawn Lattimore. So they're going to move back here, acquire 3 more picks for the one that they're giving us. And at 61, we're taking Alfred Collins out of Texas. Again, another player who I think will probably go top 50. I wouldn't be shocked if he's here at 61. He's a 38 player on my board. And I mean, with him, the story is run defense. Maybe the best run defender in the class. He's 6'6", massive frame. He eats up double teams. He splits double teams in the run game. His stack and shed is textbook, where you hold the guy here, you wait for the running back to get to your gap, and then you throw him off.
Yeah.
Make a right? So he does all that at a really, really, really high level. And day one, he's the best run defender on this team by far, even with Kevin Givens on the team, who I think is fine. He's not great. Evan Anderson, same story. This guy will be an elite run defender day one. I think the reason why you're not seeing him projected in the first round is the pass rush stuff. I'm not as concerned as other people because 2 things. One, when you're playing like a shade nose where you're right over the center and you're always forced to hit a double team, or you have a 3 technique, which is what he'll be running in this defense, but you also have guys doubling you. He's not the guy who is the twitchiest or is the best athlete to just be able to beat that naturally, right? So you're going to need to get him one-on-ones. But the reason why I say I'm not worried, he plays the pass game kind of like the run game. He's not really attacking. It's very like, okay, I'm going to hold the guy here, wait for my moment, and then burst through, try to get a sack. Whereas I just want to see him be a Tasmanian devil maniac. Once the ball snapped, I'm rushing through the B gap, and I'm going to beat you to the ball. And he just doesn't do that. And I don't know if you can develop that. I feel like you can. But at 61, it's just like the run defense is so good. I don't care if he ever becomes this great pass rusher. He's going to be a pro in the league for 8 to 10 years just because teams need run stoppers. And he's literally built for that. So he would be my pick here at 61.
I like you thinking on that, Tony, because, the fact is the 49ers and Sal's probably going to continue. They love to send these guys to explode off the line. As soon as that ball snapped, they're on their way upfield. That's why you hear about the 49ers here. Always say things like the 49ers are flying around all over the place. But that's why we get ran on. I've always known that. I said, I love the way the guys explode off the snap and the point of impact. They're like 15 yards downfield. But you know what? Yeah. They just ran right by the runner. And Russell Wilson used to get away with murder because of that. Remember how we used to watch Wilson late in the game, and we're down like whatever we're down at whatever points, and Wilson would sit there and wait because he knew the 49ers were going to do that. They'd run right by him, and we'd all sit and say, "Oh, Jesus, Niners!" And Wilson would take off for 15 yards, and I'd go sick to my stomach. So you know what? There was something to be said about a guy that can maybe a little slower. I'd put him in on certain downs. Amplifying that. Go ahead, Tony. I just thought about that. It brought horrors back to my mind when you said it.
I think what I like is when you have great run defenders on first and second down, which is where Collins will live, you're able to get teams in third and long. and that makes
Yeah.
quarterbacks speed up their process, make bad decisions. They
Yep.
have to pass, so you can just pin your ears back. And so that's what he is. Can he play third down? Can he rush the passer a little bit? With the team I'm assembling here, he's going to be the fourth best pass rusher on the line, which means he'll almost never be doubled. So I'd be comfortable with him doing that as he develops. But I love this player, my 38 player on the board. I know I'm higher than consensus on him, but I just don't see a way he fails. He's one of the safest players in the class.
Hey, I like that. All right.
All right. So now we have pick 82. We traded 75 to move up to 61. So our next pick is 82 that we got from Seattle. And this is a defensive tackle who's the exact opposite of Alfred Collins. And that's Omar Norman-Lott out of Tennessee. The reason why I'm taking him here, a lot of people are hot and cold with him because you just don't see him play the run at all. I went through games and it's like in less than 10 minutes, I'm done with the game. And it's like, where are the snaps? He's getting like 20 to 30 snaps a game because they have a deep rotation at Tennessee. And the run snaps, he got like 80 per year. Some guys get that in games. So he's not going to be playing on first and second down. Right now, he's purely a third down player. But he's my 39 player, a pick after Alfred Collins on my big board. And the reason why is the pass rushing is special. He is one of those players. I don't know if you remember Milton Williams from the free agency episode that we had a month ago. He is similarly made. Just the twitch, the explosiveness, the lateral agility is off the charts good. And for me, if you're getting a guy like Alfred Collins, why not get a guy that swings the other way, that on third down, he's unguardable. Highest pass rush win rate from the interior by far. He's beating double teams too.
That's the guy. Gotta have him. That's a Robert Saleh type of guy. It sounds like.
He is perfect. And I think they had a top 30 visit with him too. If he's there at 75 and Alfred Collins is off the board, I would run the card for Omar Norman-Lott, even if we got like a Derek Harmon in the first round. I don't care. You get this guy on your team because he's built. We have an attacking 4-3 where your two defensive tackles are see ball, get ball. And on third down, he is perfectly made for that. So I wanted to pay Milton Williams big bucks in the offseason in that episode. This would be the next step where he's not as refined as Williams is now. Williams can also play rundowns where I don't think Omar can. But in a year or two, once he's gotten reps against it in practice, had more exposure to it, had the right coaching, I think he could develop into a three-down player. I don't think his frame is to the point where I'm like, oh, he's too small. He's going to get ran off the ball. Right now it's like that sometimes, but he never plays the run. So those would be my two guys at D-tackle, Ronbo. Fix the interior. You have them run with Kevin Givens and Evan Anderson on rundowns, and then Uturgos Matos can kick in on pass rush downs and run to the quarterback with Omar Norman-Lott.
I like your rotation. Yeah, I really do, because I have always said, if you can have a specialist who can do this and do that, that keep that rotation fresh anyway. Robert Saleh likes to keep fresh bodies out there anyway. You're saying a guy did 80 snaps. His conditioning must be off the hook.
Like
so
six a game. It's not even the conditioning. They just have so many guys that they rotate. So I think you're seeing the best of him on film because he's more rested, but his motor is crazy good regardless. So I don't think that'll be an issue. I just worry about the exposure to the run game.
Yeah, and that's been our problem for the last – Tony, we've not been able to stop the run for about 3 years. And that used to be a hallmark of the 49ers. Remember back in the days when the 49ers, they were proud because they hadn't allowed a 100-yard game for like over a year. And then all of a sudden, 100 yards for a running back on the 49ers these days, piece of cake. So, yeah, I want to see that tradition get brought back.
And I think it will with this draft. That's why I'm so excited about this.
It's about time. Give me more. Give us more.
All right. Andrew Makuba is my pick at 92. He is my 37 player on my board. Another guy from Texas. I have 3 in this draft. I won't spoil the third one yet. I think the reason why he might go mid-third round, late third round, is because of the size, and teams are scared of that. But to me, he is my second favorite player at any position in the class. His coverage, his instincts, his trigger downhill Ronbo, like the second he sees it, his click and close is elite. To me, those are first round traits. He is very small. He's 5'9". I think he's like 4th or 5th percentile weight. I need to go back and look. So he's really small, but it's kind of like a Jimmy Ward where, yeah, he's smaller. Maybe you bulk him up a little bit in the pros, but he's so physical. He's like a kamikaze missile. Am I worried about the frame for injuries? Yeah, a little bit. I'm not worried about his effort, though. He wants to kill anyone that comes across the middle of the field. And so this is a true free safety nickel type player that Jimmy Ward used to be, where you need him as a single high guy, perfect. You throw him up there. You need him in the slot to cover some player that you are trying to scheme to get covered. You throw Makuba down there. He is physical enough and is such a great tackler. The click and close is awesome. I think he could play in the box too. Not all the time because of his frame, but he's just that guy you can throw anywhere in the secondary aside from outside corner. And he's a weapon. He's a chess piece. He is my second safety in the class. I like him for everything that we're missing on the team right now. I'm sick of having Hufanga, Jair Brown just being so slow. People think they're good players because they have these highlight plays, but they bust way more than they boom. Jair Brown is a smart player. All the coverage busts. Makuba has ball skills, awesome ball skills. He's a ball hawk. The instincts are awesome, and he's a very smart player too. So I honestly would take him at 43. I think that would be fine value, but I don't know if the teams are going to like him because of his size.
Yeah, and well, the thing is, look at Mustafa. Now, Mustafa last year demonstrated that size is not everything, and that quickness. That's why sometimes you see defensive backs are not big, long guys. That was done with the Seattle Seahawks. Legion of Boom was one thing. Everybody on that unit was long. It seems they were always thinking about crowding lanes and using length as a weapon. But see, nowadays you gotta be quick. And that works a lot better now. So I like your idea. Put him together with Mustafa, because I'm a huge Mustafa fan, and you just described the guy that reminds me of him as well. So
with Mustafa, it's just so funny to me because people are like, no, you got to keep Jair Brown and throw Mustafa at free safety. No, I want Mustafa in the box. He's one of the best tacklers in football already, and that's where quick. I want him to live. Just because he can be a free safety doesn't mean that's where I want him. Makuba gives you that versatility to where you can have two awesome safeties and play them in their natural roles.
There you go. Because Jair Brown, like you, and I don't like to talk badly about Jair because a lot of people do like him. He set me on fire so many times last year. I'll never get over that play against the Chiefs. Ronaldo Green is doing a good job on this guy. He's right on him. He's right in his face, right in front of him. Jair runs through there, takes Ronaldo out of the play. The Chiefs score a touchdown. I said, Ronaldo, I mean, Jair, man, what they said coming out of Penn State, you were like nothing. You were like no fly zone, dude. You just track like nobody else's business. Well, I don't see any INTs, and you're becoming a liability out there. So I agree with you about Jair. He better be better this year.
The issue, I don't think he will be because he's a Wilkes player. Wilkes loves to bring his safeties down and blitz them. So he was around the line playing in hook zones. He would play deep sometimes, but, that's what he was brought in for. And then you have Sorensen, who's Mr. Vanilla over here, just running the most basic concepts, playing him at a free safety, strong safety spot. Of course he's going to suck. I don't think he's a team anymore, and they should look to upgrade, and that's what we're doing here with Makuba.
Well, good. Continue.
Perfect. Pick 100. I just want to preface and say JT Tuimoloau out of Ohio State is not the 100th best player in the class. He's my 66 guy, and he probably goes earlier. I would not be shocked if he goes 50, 55, because the run is just so good, the run defense. The same way we talk about Alfred Collins, where he'll be in the league for 8 to 10 years. I feel that way about Tuimoloau, even if he never becomes this great player. I wouldn't take him in the second round because I just think there's better players. All the guys I drafted here are in my top 40 before him, and he's 66 for me. I don't think he'll be here, but I know a lot of people have him down their board close to 100, 110, 120, so that's why I'm comfortable putting him here for now, just to talk about him. But James Pierce, we talked about him earlier. He's your pass rush guy, not bad against the run, but he's not a strength. You bring in a guy like JT Tuimoloau where the run game is easy for him. He is so strong. He literally turns into the Incredible Hulk when he's playing the edge. He can easily stack and shed guys. Very smart player in the run game. He will take chances, but not in a bad way. Like, you never really catch him making the wrong decision. And it's just a very stout edge there where first and second down, he'll be in the league for a long time. When we get to third down, same thing with Alfred Collins. I just don't think he's the explosive athlete that you need to be a great pass rusher in the NFL. In college, he was getting swallowed up by guys who might not even be in the NFL, and that's a bit worrisome. I
Ooh,
think a
yeah.
lot of his production was off of effort, and he has a really, really high motor. Even down in the goal line, I feel like he turns it on even more. But he's a guy, again, you need to have a well rounded edge room. We have two aces pass rushing in Bosa and Pierce. Now let's get our edge guys, right? On base downs, you have JT Tuimoloau, Nick Bosa, of course, one of the best run defenders in football, and then
Mm,
you turn on Matos as well. So what I've
yeah.
done here with four of the first six picks, I've gotten strengths in the run game and in the pass game to keep a fresh rotation, and hopefully these guys can develop into three down players. But in order to fix this line, that's what's going to be needed, and we're using four top 100 picks to get that done.
Good idea. Because hey, Tony, how many guys? I think we had 5 guys in camp right now. If we're going to start today, maybe 5. I could be. I might be one too many.
I think we
Gibbons,
have
Grossamatos, Nick. Who's the fourth? Oh,
Elkie
the
and
guy we got from Cleveland last year. That's not that good.
Ellie,
Yeah.
Evan Anderson. I think we have six.
Okay, 6. Okay. So you can start
So
the
yeah,
game,
we
but
need more.
they're going to be tired. 4 more guys, please. And in fact, usually the 49ers reserve 13 spots for the defensive linemen?
No, I think they go 11.
11? Okay.
11.
Because I,
Yeah.
I, I know they got a heavy rotation. Put a couple on the practice squad
Mm,
if they're any good.
exactly.
Yeah.
You might be able to get some late players too as UDFAs or sixth,
Yeah.
seventh round that can make the practice squad. So
Mm,
yeah.
that's a good idea. Because as a matter of fact, you mentioned the practice squad guys. The 49ers were talking to a guy about 300 and something pounds today for a defensive lineman. I thought that was
Mm,
pretty funny. Tony, how many times the Hawks had guys that you look at them on the defensive line, they look like offensive linemen. They
mhm,
had arms as big as most guys' thighs. I just
yeah.
always says, how does he move that frame? And then we watched a guy like that kill a quarterback. What was our quarterback that we got with the 2 draft round traded for 2 first round picks out of North
Trey Lance.
Dakota? Yeah, Trey. The
Yeah.
dude. That's why Trey left.
Mhm,
My God, he hit him like a train. I didn't know he could move like that. But
mhm.
yeah, that's the thing. Elijah Simmons. Anyway, the 49ers looking at him as a UDFA possibility or late round. But
Mm.
go ahead.
All right. Are you ready for 122?
I'm ready for 122.
Perfect. This is a guy who I loved him throughout the process. I'm getting a little bit of cold feet on him, but I just have to talk about him because on day 3, one of the very few guys to me that can develop into an elite press man corner. We're talking about Zah Frasier out of UTSA. I
Oh, I've
want
heard
to
that
talk
name.
about the weaknesses first because I just don't know if this is a guy that the Niners will want. And quite frankly, I don't know if it's someone that I love. If we're only taking one guy like this in the draft, and these traits are awesome, I'm willing to bet on it. So with him, he is just unwilling to participate in the run game. Now in the Seattle 3 scheme, you have 8 guys in the box, then you have your 2 outside corners and your free safety. There's less stress on them to be these great run defenders. So that's kind of why I have him here and why I'm comfortable taking him. He's my 98 overall player. The issue comes with the mentality where you just need to be a dog, and it shows up in the pass game, and that's why it's like, okay, just give me that in the run game, and you would be 10 spots higher on my board, right? But he is older. He's an older prospect. I think he's 24, and he's still a little bit raw. Like, this is not a guy where it's like, oh, yeah, he's been in college for 3 years, and he's gotten so much better every year. He hasn't started a whole lot until the last year or two, so he still needs development, but he's very long. I can compare him a bit to Tariq Woolen, where he's super fast in like a linear straight speed way. The hips are good, not great, but he's super tall, super long. His hands are a massive Rombo, and this is something I didn't really take into account until this year when I was looking at Azareye'h Thomas, who I have a first round grade on. Spoiler alert for the draft. His hands are like 10 and a half inches, which is insane. Zah Frasier, I
That's a
think, is
baseball mitt. That's
insane,
crazy.
Rombo. And so, or Rombo, it's crazy. And so this guy, I think, is 9.5 inch hands, which is still massive. I think it's third in the class. I bring that up because when you're playing press, whether it's zone or press man, the bigger your hands are, it's like it jolts you a little bit, it shocks
Yeah.
you, and it's going to disrupt your timing way more than these little 8.5 inch hands from these 5'9" corners, right?
Yeah.
So to me, just the traits, the length, the hand size, the speed, all of it. I felt like in man coverage he was stickier than I was expecting. For a guy like him, not being as developed, I think he got confused a lot in zone coverage. In cover three, he let a lot of things go. Like you've seen the classic cover three, they run a comeback, and the outside corner is still running up the field when that guy made his break. You see some of that. So
Okay.
again, this is a developmental player, but the traits are so good, and I don't see a ton of guys day three that I believe can develop into elite press man corners, which is my number one criteria when I'm putting them on my board. If you can't do that, you won't be a first round pick on my board. And if you're down the board, it'll just lower my stock in you a little bit because man coverage is so important nowadays.
Oh God, yes. Tony, what's his name again? His name is Zah. What's his last name?
Zah Frasier out of Texas, San Antonio.
Okay, because there was a Middle Eastern player I was watching in the combine that had all the enthusiasm in the world. He was kind of raw, like you were mentioning. He's talking about that same guy, but this is not the same guy, I guess, because this guy was. I can't remember. Was he a corner or a linebacker? Anyway,
There was
this
an edge
this
you're
dude.
talking about that fits that mold. Ahmed Hassanein from
That sounds like him. A lot of
Okay.
enthusiasm, a lot of natural talent. You can tell on technique he probably needs some more work, but
Yes.
he's got everything he needs mentally and physically to be a good football player. We'll see where he lands. But he's not on your board though, right?
He's not for today. I did get to him. I think I gave him a seventh round grade. So I wasn't impressed, but he's absolutely a guy at like 227, 252. You just run in the card and you bet on the character. But no, he's not in this mock draft we have here.
Okay.
Cool. So Zah Frasier, again, like I wish we could take a corner earlier, but the way I made this draft, I wanted to build the trenches first. And so we'll take him here, bet on the traits, and hope the character checks out. Let's go to 138. My favorite player in the class, another Texas guy, Jaydon Blue.
Texas guys.
I have talked endlessly about him on X. To me, he is the most underrated player in this class. I see people putting him at 200 on their big boards, and it's just, you know who's watching football and who's not watching football when they have him ranked there. He is my 72 overall player, which is higher than consensus, and maybe I'm just higher on my board because I
That's
love him
top
so
100.
much. But he's 100% a top 100 player to me. You talk about the speed. When I do my film review, I get a list of guys. I look at big boards. I just take like 25 to 30 guys, and then I work through there. And I just go randomly. I say, okay, this board had him 150. I'll put him on my board, and then I'll just basically drawing from a hat in my own head. Jaydon Blue was maybe the eighth or ninth guy I watched Ronbo. When I put on the tape, first play, whoa, swing route. That was kind of good. Okay, let me see more. And I was expecting him to be this okay player, and he just puts on the burners. He was the fastest player at any position I watched this year. Any position. The speed is easy for him. The make you miss in a phone booth ability is real. He can literally have this much space between you, and he'll juke you out of your socks. Now he's running down the sideline. He is awesome. But there's a lot of guys that can do that, Rumbo. What really separates him is the receiving game work. He is the best receiving back in this class. And to me, there's a few guys who you could say, yeah, maybe they're a bit more like pass protection. They're so good. If we're talking about pure route running and receiving, he's the best by far. There are just crazy plays where the ball tracking is the best out of anyone in the class. Down the sideline, over the shoulder, toe taps. Like, it is incredible. The speed outclasses linebackers. That's what I had in my notes. Outclasses linebackers just because of how fast he is. Wheel routes, he was at the 30-yard line against Ohio State, and by the time he hit the end zone, he had 5 yards of separation. Just unreal. The route running on Texas routes, the angle routes are super just you leave the guy in the dust. I just don't see how this player is 200. The pass protection is good. It's a very small guy, so it's not like he's going to run you over, but the base is good. The technique is good, and the ability to identify where guys are coming from is really, really good. So I don't know.
When you say his size, what is his size?
He is 5'9", I believe.
Okay.
190 something. So he's definitely in the bottom percentile.
Yeah,
And
you know who else came into the NFL like that? The guy I picked in the first year. I said, Christian McCaffrey's going to be a monster in this NFL. I'm telling you guys right now. And I got laughed at. Christian McCaffrey was not a big guy, but just like you're saying, you give him 6 inches of daylight and he's out of here. Those are the guys that are natural instincts running backs. Those are the guys that are going to do well. You don't need to be a big, huge guy to be a running back in the NFL, but you do need to be quick. And you need to have natural ability and talents. I always said running backs are born more than they are developed. So he sounds right to me, too.
definitely. He's a guy to me, Rombo, where I think the issues people have are the fumbles. He has small hands. He's a smaller player, and he fumbled a lot. And he did not play a lot of reps, right? He's not this 30 rep per game type of player. And he fumbled a lot. I think that's coachable at the next level. And I don't think he's ever going to be this workhorse. I think you, like Jahmyr Gibbs, 12 to 20 touches per game, and you just let him be a really, really good player that can get you 100 yards off 10 touches. Is he ever be just this workhorse? No, but you get a guy to pair with him like Montgomery and Gibbs up in Detroit, and he's
I know that's my favorite duo. Yeah.
Jaydon Blue, 6 feet tall. I need to look at this.
Yeah, 201. Okay, that's a big difference, Tony.
Where
the
is
hands,
he pulling those measurements from? If that's from earlier in the year, that would make sense. But I was pulling from combine numbers. Let me double check here.
Tony,
Yeah. Go
well,
for
the
it.
question is, about the fumbling though? You know how Kyle Shanahan, he loathes. Kyle Shanahan will put you on the bench. I don't care how good you are. He'll put you on the bench for the rest of the season until he can find a way to get you out of here. He hates that.
I mean, Garendo fumbled in college. He fumbled last year. When worse comes worse, you need to just put your best players on the field because you have injuries, and they're going to play well. And I think coaching the fumbling out of him is possible. It's just, okay, grip the ball this way, hold it tighter to your chest, be more careful when you're running through the lane. This isn't something that he can't fix. He has small hands, and it makes it harder, but it's not like it's this crazy thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That he can overcome.
Yeah, we've seen it.
No, he's 5'9", 196.
All right, Tony. 5'9". Tony's sticking to his guns.
But yeah, he's my favorite player at any position. Even if he's a third-round grade for me, I love this guy so much. There was a comment, they said, Devin Neal, I like Devin Neal. I think for the running back room, Garendo's already a speed-type back. Devin Neal would be a better fit for the room because he's your in-between the tackles, workhorse, can do everything. He's not a good athlete, but he can make you miss really well. The run game is just very smooth, great vision, and so I like that player a lot too. It might even be a better fit for the room. Jaydon Blue, I have to talk about him, which is why he's here. He's my favorite player in the class.
I love it. And they become Jaydon Blue. I can't wait to see your expression explode. That's going to be hilarious. Tony got Jaydon Blue, 5'9", 6'2", whatever, but we're going to teach him to stop fumbling that ball.
Yep. And it's possible. I hope we draft him, Rombo. But there's a lot of good backs I'd be happy with, too. He's just my favorite. So,
okay.
Cool. Let's move on to
him. I do, too. Go ahead. All right.
Tight end Jackson Hawes out of Georgia Tech, my 117th ranked player in the class. I'm going to start off by saying if you expect every single tight end to be an elite slot receiver, you're going to be disappointed. There is a huge learning curve for those guys coming out of college to have both the run game and the pass game because they really only use you for one or the other in college.
Yeah.
Jackson Hawes is like a sixth offensive lineman. His ability to move guys off the ball, displace defensive ends, is awesome. In the run game, he's not a great athlete, but he moves really well. He knows exactly where to be. Very, very, very good hands. He keeps it up in the chest plate, and he can drive guys backwards. To me, you get a guy like this, because we talk about Charlie Warner. We hated him when he was here. The second he left, the run game took a big hit. And you need a guy
and that's why I didn't hate him. I wasn't with that group. I said, Charlie Warner, they don't use him for anything more than blocking, and I thought he did a decent job blocking.
Yes. Jackson Hawes, to me, is not going to be as good in terms of the receiving game. Warner was not good. He had drop issues, and he was not a good route runner. I think Jackson Hawes is even more stiff and has the same hands issues. So he's not going to be on the field on third down. He's purely, I don't want to put a sixth offensive lineman on the field. Let me throw Hawes out there. And then with Kittle, it's just a nightmare for opposing teams.
Tony, we've got to find another, at least something close to George Kittle. I know he's a generational talent, but my God, is there anything going on in Iowa right now? Does Iowa just breed? Because there's been 2 or 3 tight ends coming out of Iowa. I think there's one this year too.
Luke I'm very low on him, but we can talk about that during the draft.
All right.
What else were you saying? I didn't mean to cut you off, Rumbo.
No. I was just talking about. I'm worried about George Kittle. He hasn't got a lot of time left. I give George about 3 seasons max before he starts to go taking on the other side of that mountain and taking a decline. And we just keep him because we love him so much. George, just sit over and have a seat, man. We'll bring you in here and there. But after that, but George is going to be effective this year and next year. But after that, it's up in the air. So it's time to find that tight end that can come in and mold his game behind George, if it's all possible. Because I'm really worried. George Kittle's his whole function, his need on this team, the 49ers would not have done what they've done down through the years without him. There's just no way.
Yeah, exactly. I see a comment here. I have Jackson Hawes as the 11th best tight end in the draft, and I completely understand that. He's not everyone's cup of tea. For me, I'm not really a big fan of this tight end class at all, and he's one of those guys that I know will be in the league for at least 5 years. Like, the blocking is too good for him not to find a roster. I could literally see him being like a Mercedes Lewis, where he's like in year 20 and he's still going at it because the blocking is so good. And that's what I want to pick here. It solves a need for the team. I know they signed Luke Farrell, but he's more of
I was about to say.
This is your run blocking tight end. Tight end 3.
Hey, let me just shout out to Renzo. Renzo, what up? And the Niner family. Hello, Renzo. Haven't talked to you in a long time. Wait a minute. It's North Florida. I always get that wrong. Hey, Renzo. Go ahead, Tony.
Cool. At 160, this is one of my 5 favorite players in the draft. Shaun Dolac out of Buffalo, linebacker. I was tipped on him like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I was like, okay, I'm not really a big fan of the linebackers in this class. Let's see if this guy has any wings. He's my linebacker 6 right now, my 107th overall player. Honestly, if you think of Chris Borland a little bit, that's not my comp for him, but it's another guy who's not playing elite competition. He's undersized, so people just write him off. But Chris Borland, the production was insane. When we talk about Shaun Dolac, crazy every year at Buffalo without elite talent. I don't know if any of their defenders are getting drafted this year. It was a one-man show. In the run game, the trigger downhill is immediate. The tackling is exceptional. So many tackles for loss. I think double any other player in the class. Don't quote me on that. I need to look at that again. But it was just every play you're seeing him do that. And he's the perfect weak side linebacker for this scheme. But what I really love was the coverage. You have this great run profile, even for a small guy. But he's a natural dropper in coverage. Has the best ball skills out of any linebacker in the class, in my opinion. Maybe Carson Schlesinger, who's going to go top 50 from UCLA. Maybe he has slightly better ball skills, but Shaun Dolac, just incredible catches, and he's always looking for more after he goes there. The dropping in coverage is great. His zone feels awesome. He has the ability to run with guys in man coverage, which, again, I'm huge on man coverage, even though we're a zone primarily based scheme. This is a guy, to me, if he went at pick 100, I would not blink an eye, even though nobody knows about him. But he is just that guy where in a weak linebacker class, one of the few players who I think can develop into a 3-down guy. I would take him as early as 100, and I stand by that. He is an awesome player, and I recommend anyone watches him if they have time to.
So I love the way you undercut. This is how the 49ers go about uncovering gems. William Roberts also echoed what you just said. He's never heard of him. But you know what's so funny? Because I didn't know what a Chris Borland was either. And I remember that year, Chris Borland became one of my favorite 49ers of all time. I said, look, this guy's coming up with double-digit tackles every week. Chris Borland was player of the month. I said, Jesus Christ, who is that guy? Where'd he come from? Remember Willis said, he's like a little bulldog out there. I said, And then, of course, Borland decided life in general is what I need to be concerned about. I could go on playing football, but I want to be able to walk and talk when I leave this sport. So he left. I was crushed. Number 50, Chris Borland, one of my all-time faves. 20 to 25 tackles a week. I said, damn, really? He did it more than once. Back to back sometimes. Oh, he worked hard, but he did work. What he did though, he could have gotten hurt. But and this guy you're talking about now, similar style though.
Yes. I honestly, he's one of those guys. It's just fun to watch him. And linebacker tape can be exciting. It can also be really boring. I think
Yeah,
the most boring tape for me is secondary play because half the plays are not doing anything. It's
yeah.
a run play or like it's just an RPO in college. With
Mm,
linebacker, he run and pass all the time, and he was
most,
really fun to watch.
yeah. This is why Dre Greenlaw. That's another guy that's gonna be hard to replace. Dre Greenlaw was always busy. Fred Warner. Fred Warner's amazing because as he's overwatching and seeing the field, Fred seems to know where to strike, where the weakest points are, where he can be of the most use. Fred Warner's if we see this, we keep getting guys like this, Tony. We keep getting guys like that. That if we lose them, we're in deep trouble.
Yeah,
Warner, I
exactly.
mean, George, Greenlaw left. Oh my God! Remember
It's
DJ
hard to find them,
Jones?
Rumble.
That hurt
It's
us.
hard. We're spoiled that we drafted so many All Pros, but that's the if you can find another one, of course you want to. It's just going to be
Yeah,
so hard.
I know. Yeah. Well, we'll find a way.
Congratulations. This has to be one of the worst drafts ever. I'm sorry you feel that way, Alex. We're going to keep going, though. I appreciate it. Okay.
Continue,
You
Tony.
ready for 227?
Ready?
All right. Chimere Dike, wide receiver out of Florida, and he's not everyone's cup of tea. I have a fifth round grade on him, and he's a Shanahan receiver through and through. I think I heard someone say like 40% of his production came off of crossers or digs, which is an insane amount, but that's what he is. He is a wide receiver five, wide receiver six to me, where he can run the basics of the Shanahan scheme in a pinch when you have guys that are hurt and injured. I think this late, it's better to get guys like this that you know have a chance to make the roster than these crazy projects that might not even make the team and you wasted a draft pick, right? So for me, very sound player. It's not great athlete, it's good athlete. Not great hands, but good hands. Just very average all the way around. But I trust that he can get the Shanahan scheme taken care of in terms of the staples from the X or the Z, really anywhere in the alignment.
Does he block? I mean, you know how Kyle is.
Blocking,
Kyle's
it's
serious about
fine.
that. Huh?
If you want to see a blocker, Rombo, Alec Manor from Stanford, that's going to be a guy you like, but he probably goes top 60, top 70. I think in
Mm.
the draft, you're not always going to have that Jawan Jennings player that you can draft. And even if there was, we have that guy already. So I'm looking for a difference maker on the outside that we
No,
can have
so you
Naples.
know how many people agree with you on that? You see, with Kyle though, we've seen uh, not a lot, but we've seen receivers come down through the years, and he's
Hmm.
serious. If you're not going to block, Kyle's not going to let you play. I said, you
Hmm.
know, Kyle. I mean, what happened to Cowan last year? Kyle sort of gave him work to do. It wasn't that he was a
Yeah.
part of the plan. I remember he was returning kicks for a while, but you might have seen him on the field, and he had all that speed. I always wondered, to Kyle, can't we at least utilize him as somebody to take the top off the defense? No.
Hmm.
I says, why? I wonder why. And everybody's the same thing. Yeah, he probably is not blocking. Oh man, Kyle's got to cut that policy
Yeah.
a little
But
bit.
it makes sense though, because if you're not willing to do the dirty work, it's more about your mentality than anything.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, why? You know, that's what I'm saying. Why bring them in though? That's why I worry. You know, you're bringing these guys in,
Hmm.
and you don't use them because of the fact that they won't block. And I says, you know, you had that falling out finally with. I remember finally we got our top receiver. Him and Kyle were
Hmm.
having falling outs. BA was just like, remember him and Kyle had falling outs that became public news. I said, you know,
Yeah.
Jesus, and Kyle put him in the doghouse. I said, wow. And then suddenly BA said, okay, I'm not going to beat this guy. I'm going to freaking block. And then it
Yeah.
became, BA became one of the most vicious blockers on the team between him and
Premier
Jawan
blocker.
Jennings. Oh, God, he's just all the way down the field. BA's all over dudes. Especially, I guess he's bought into Kyle's program. And he can catch the ball and run routes. Oh, I love this dude, man. Now, of course, he gets hurt. But anyway, we'll see what
I love
happens.
him so much. We could talk about him all day, but yeah, we're not going to replace him. And I don't want to in this draft. We have Demarcus Robinson while he's hurt. He'll come back around midseason.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
then we have good depth here with DK at the end of the draft. One
Hmm.
more pick for you. pick 252. I don't know where this guy will go. I could see him going 5th round. I could see him being undrafted. We're talking Willie Lampkin out of North Carolina. To me, he's a center. They use him as like a fullback, goal line back type of player at North Carolina for certain packages. He's 5'10", 280. So just already off the bat, you're thinking he's way too small to play on the interior. He's going to get messed up in the NFL. I don't quite have that opinion. Because he's lower to the ground, it honestly helps his leverage, and he is so strong. I didn't really see many times where he was defeated in the way that people would expect him to be for a guy his size. The movement is amazing. The ferociousness and the mentality is awesome. The mechanics and the footwork, the what's it called? The hand usage, it's all really good. Well-timed punches, accurate punches, all those things. So I think he could be a good backup developmental center day one that you can use in certain sub packages to have fun with him as like a fullback. I would not be surprised if he goes 5th round. I have a 5th round grade on him. I would not be surprised if he goes undrafted because we just don't have many players like him that have come out before and succeeded at the NFL level.
Yeah, we had a center last year. I think he was a UDFA, wasn't he? We're stuck with.
Poe?
Oh yeah, Poe's gone. He was another guy you could run him at fullback, and they were trying. It seems like they were doing that for a while. The shorter guy. I remember he was out there for a little while, and everybody's tired of Jake Brendel.
Yes.
And everybody wants him replaced, and we were looking at people who were probably below Brendel's standard even, but we just wanted Brendel out of the way. We watched him get abused week after week after week. I kept thinking maybe he's too light, but Brendel, there was sometimes when you did technique that didn't make any sense. He was too slow to react to certain things. I said, that's one of the most important positions on Kyle Shanahan's offense. That center's got to be very good. Since we lost Mac, it's been really kind of scary. But prior to Mac, remember we got the great reach block that Joe Staley said's a real asshole. What was that guy's name? He got really hurt badly and ended his career. Second or third year with Kyle Shanahan. The center we got, did we get him from New York?
Oh, Weston Richburg.
Yeah. Oh, Weston was a badass. And, this is like we can't find anybody since then, actually. Except for Alex Max, of course, came in, and it was like, oh, thank you, God. But after we've been looking for a center ever since. So
there is one guy in this draft. I know that the building loves Jake Brendel for some reason. The movement, the run game, like it's good. It's not
Forster
amazing.
Loves him.
Yeah. So, they love him. So I don't think they're just going to reach for a center. The only guy that I know would start day one in this draft, at least for me, is Will Campbell. But people like him at tackle. They like him at guard. I'm projecting him as a center and have a first-round grade. But it's not just the ability to play the game. It's the intelligence. Because there's 4 other guys on the O-line that are looking at you to say, what protection are we calling here? Where do I need to be? And if your guy isn't sharp, it's not going to work. I think Campbell could do it. And so outside of that, they're just not going to draft a guy to start day one, most likely. A really, really, really deep sleeper I love in this draft, Ronbo, that I think has the potential to be able to start day one. But the play is obviously not as good as Will Campbell, is Drew Kendall out of Boston College. I made a post about him a couple days ago on X. He is one of my favorite players in the draft, and he's been at Boston College for a long time. Super smart player. I think he'd be one of those guys that could step in, surprisingly win out day one. Maybe Brendel has an injury and Kendall comes in, he plays. He might be able to keep the job. I have a post about him if anyone here wants to read it there, but that's all I want to say.
Listen, Campbell's going to be, you know what? The funny thing about this is I think Nick Sakel, they were training him. The fact that Kyle Shanahan has all these complications with the things he likes to do with his offense. As I mentioned, off wide receivers, you could be one of the greatest in the world. If you can't block, I'm sorry, you're going to have to sit down. You look at the cerebral capacity that Kyle Shanahan needs in his centers. You can't put an idiot out there. He could be a brute force, could just mow lawns. But no, you've got to be able to look and dissect quickly what you see on that defense and get it back to the quarterback. That's why Alex Mack and Matty Ice had so much success together. I said he didn't have to do anything. Just take the ball, Mack it out. He already diagnosed and figured out he'd get the signal back to to Ice, and they would 7th most productive offense in NFL history. Damn.
That's
that
what the
was-
Sun
well-
does for you.
They had great talents too, but still, that's saying something. So yeah, he's got to find a center, Tony. I mean, that's got to be priority one at least next year. This year, probably not, because like you're saying, there's nothing in there that you saw that would come in and do that, right?
Not for where we would need to take them. I just don't see them drafting a center in the top 50, top 60. It would be round 3 and later. And there just aren't guys that have enough of the smarts and enough of the athletic ability to do that. Again, Drew Kendall's a day 3 sleeper that I think could do it. But even then, do I think he beat out Brendel? No. I think it would need to take some circumstance for that to happen, although he's capable.
Yeah. Well, maybe with some training. Hey, Tony, the linebacker at Cal, now I know most of us aren't thinking about pulling any players out of Cal or Stanford. There's one here and there maybe. But the linebacker that reminds everybody of Fred Warner, you know what I'm talking about? I forgot his name.
Eddie Buchanan.
That's him.
Is
the rumors, is the myth true, or what is it?
I don't think he's going to be Fred Warner. I think he's a coverage weapon, and he's really good there. I don't see him as this complete player, and honestly, his eyes get lost sometimes. In the run game, I don't trust him. To me, he's higher on my board than consensus for sure. I really love the coverage. I don't think he has quite the super smooth hips that Shaun Dolac has. It's not bad. It's still really good. But I think when you're talking about Dolac, it's a little bit better. And I trust Dolac to run and man coverage a little bit more. But Buchanan, I think you take him in round 4, round 5, you develop him, he could absolutely be a starter. I really like him.
Yeah. And he's supposed to name Teddy with a Y-E at the end. I was amused by that right away. But and then he's a homeboy. I think, the 49ers have probably seen him over there. And because a lot of times the 49ers won't say anything about certain players. I mean, when you look at coming out of Arkansas with Dre Greenlaw, who knew anything about Dre Greenlaw? Somebody's had an injury coming out of school, and they get in 49. Every fan's, oh, come on, Niners. And then we seen him. And the rest is history.
I trust this team with linebackers, Ronbo. They've proved it too many times. Greenlaw, Warner, Winters. These are late picks. They're not early picks. And Reuben Foster was going to be really good, too. If he didn't have those.
Reuben's an idiot, though. He doesn't. I mean, anytime you have that many problems with your women, this is not the kind of football player that's going to do long anywhere. He's going to get.
Yes.
Let me get talking about him. Tony, let me go down through your draft real quickly here again. All right, Tony started with 20th overall pick. He took out edge rusher James Pierce out of Tennessee. 43rd overall, tackle Josh Conerly Jr., Oregon. And 61st overall, defensive DT Alfred Collins, Texas. Texas does always have some good football players, don't they? Tell you. 82nd overall, defensive tackle Omar Norman-Lott, Tennessee. Tony, I love the way you stay in the South a lot, too. 92nd overall, free safety Andrew Makuba, Texas. Again, 100th overall edge, JT.
Tuimoloau.
Tuimoloau. I had these Polynesian names down, and once since we lost a couple guys, Ohio State. But it's from Ohio State, and that's all that really matters. You know he's going to be a good ball player. 122 overall. Cornerback, Zah Frasier, UTSA. 138th overall. Running back, Tony's favorite athlete, he's Jaydon Blue. Again, coming out of the great state of Texas. Wait a minute, is Texas boy here? I don't want to hear him here talking like that. Okay. Also, 147th overall tight end Jackson Hawes, Georgia Tech. The search goes on for a linebacker. As Tony mentioned, you're not going to get one with multi-talents like George Kittle. So we're going to have to spread George out for the next decade if we can until we can find one. 160 overall linebacker Shaun Dolac out of Buffalo. 227 overall Chimere Dike out of Florida. 252nd, as you just mentioned, cornerback C/FB Willie Lampkin, North Carolina. Tony, the reason I love you do a lot of research. You strategically trade up and down the draft. That's skills, man. I'm impressed.
the big thing this year, I've watched more players and like my mind is fried from all the guys I watched more than I ever have before.
All
So, I
right.
mean, a lot of the guys, you develop attachments to them because you spend like 30 minutes to an hour on one guy just watching them back to back to back. Um,
It's a good thing to
all these
do.
guys here, honestly, the first six picks, I would not be surprised if they go higher than they do, and I would actually expect that. But I wanted to talk about them today, create a plan that was well rounded for the team going forward.
See, and that's what scouts don't have enough time to do. I often wonder sometimes when you see a kid come into camp and he's just completely lost and confused and out of his element, you wonder what the scouts saw in him in the first place to bring it back to Kyle and John, or John and Kyle picked that player. And it's everybody's not going to, their skills don't always translate to the NFL. Also, you get him in there and give him an interview, and you're just not happy with the way his mind works. You don't pick him up.
Hmm.
I mean, just to use him as what, camp fodder for until we make the big cuts, maybe.
Yeah.
But you wasted his time too. So you got to take it right. You got to study. I like your approach on that. I mean, every scout should be burnt out. Tony, I envisioned you as being a scout with your work ethic toward picking out players. You could be assured that you went through it with a really fine tooth comb anyway. So I trust you.
I appreciate that, Rombo. Thank you.
Any more questions for
Yeah.
Tony?
I see one here. Tony traded up, so what did we get in return? So I traded back from 11 twice to get to pick 20, and we got 82, 92, and 122. Because we got all those picks, I traded a third round pick, a fourth round pick, and a seventh round pick for 61. Checks out in the trade value chart. And so we were able to get six picks in the top 100, including 2 seconds and three thirds.
Tony, and you ended up with 13 picks, didn't you? Did I
12.
count that right? 12. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, this is what I'm saying, but you traded up too. You could have came up with, you could have had more picks, but Tony used it. But see, the way you manipulate those picks, that's the way I envision the 49ers doing that this year anyway. Because in fact, if you got an abundance of picks, you don't need to use all of them anyway, but you need to use them for trade purposes so you can move up or down. I think we had one year a while back when the Niners did do that because we were getting our butt kicked so bad in that first year that we had all kind of picks. So,
Yeah.
and we get compensatory picks are like a regular thing with Kyle Shannon's because the fact is, I think Kyle sometimes when he picks up coaches, he knows that's going to be a third round pick at some point because they're going to be too good and they're not going to be able to stay here. So it's an amazing process the 49ers go through, the FO does with manipulating the assets they have. So.
Yeah.
But I see more this year. I don't know what coach we're going to lose. Oh, Tony. I mean, you got Robert Saleh and Gus Bradley. Are any more coaches on the staff that you think? I mean, Saleh. I mean, Bradley and Saleh. I said, wow. How'd you guys manage that?
Hmm.
Jesus. But one of them is not going to be with us next year, I assume.
Who do you think?
Bradley.
Mm.
Yeah, because Salah, I don't know that he's going to want to make a jump so quickly. I bet Kyle is asking, listen, can we stay with this program a little bit? Because last time he came to me, I was in the same situation as I am. And now, well, not to this degree, but I still need for you to develop a defense. And that's going to behoove your chances moving forward. And it's going to make mine better, too. So got to get us agreement on that, at least a handshake agreement. I would.
Yeah.
I don't want Salah leaving next year. I really don't. It's going to take a while to develop the defense anyway, because we got a lot of
I
new
don't
bodies
think it'll
coming in.
take that long. 1 year of good coaching changes a lot, and if Bradley is the next defensive coordinator when Saleh leaves, he's never getting another head coaching job. I think the continuity, honestly, we're not that far away. It could happen this year.
Yeah, I guess you got a good point, though. Bradley's probably the one who's going to stay. If anything, could the 49ers have that in mind? Salah comes in, he becomes a
Definitely.
star,
I
he
think
leaves
that's
again, and Bradley holds on, and you're not going to be. Bradley's not going to kill you on defense. What are the coaches on our staff that you impressed with?
Hmm?
What are any other coaches on our staff that you particularly like?
Oh, that's a tough one. Linebackers coach Johnny Holland. I like him a lot.
Oh yeah, he's famous.
Is Bobby Turner still the running back coach? I know he took a year off.
Listen, as long as Kyle Shanahan lives and breathes, Bobby Turner will always have a spot somewhere. Bobby,
Obviously,
they're
Coach Turner,
inseparable, huh?
Yeah, no, they are inseparable. He said, "I don't care, Tom Rathman, you're a good running back coach. I'm bringing in Bobby Turner."
From day one. And you and I both know Rathman was a damn good running backs coach. Oh, Tony, here's this is hilarious. What about that kicker? Listen, Tony, your feeling on Jake Moody. Do you trust him?
I don't trust him, but I think he's getting killed a little bit more than he should for some of the big kicks he's made. He's
Yeah.
missed some that could have won a game, and I get that. And he's missed an extra point in the Super Bowl. But it's hard to find good kickers. I think bringing in Matt Gay, I saw a report they're interested. Do it. Get competition. I'm not sold on Moody by any means, but I don't think he's this, 32nd best kicker in the league type process that people have. I think
That's
he's
bad.
about middle of the pack. And you see other teams complain about their kicker all the time too. So find a
True.
better option. I get that. Like look in free agency, get a better guy to compete. But I don't think we should be crucifying him.
Yeah. In fact, I
Relying
had
on your kicker
moments.
to win games anyway.
You're true. You shouldn't be in that situation all the time. But I did find sympathetic moments for Jake after he made that play that got him taken out for like 2-3 weeks or something like that. I says, this is the thing. The special teams, damn it. Can we improve in that area? I don't need Mitch Wisnowski and Jake Moody making tackles. If it gets through the entire 10 guys out there, come on, guys. What is the
Yes.
problem? So I want that short up. It looks like the 49ers may have addressed that a little bit already. So,
Special teams is going to be way better this year with Brent Boyer. I'm excited for what
yeah.
he's going to bring. He's another coach I really like.
This is the thing. Putting good coaches in position where they can be effective and make the team better. The thing you just need a special teams coach should be the kind of guy that makes your players want to run through a brick wall. I remember playing ball. It was always fun to watch special teams
Want
coaches,
that.
the veins standing out in their neck and everything. You come out here and do what? I'm saying, you're like,
Yeah.
now you're ready to go, So, you got to have that kind of coach. This is why I love Robert Saleh, too. He's the only guy in the NFL I've ever seen that they have to hire an extra guy to hold Saleh off the field to avoid penalties.
It's awesome. I love it so much.
God. So, yeah. 49 Brian, we'll take care of that in a bit. It's probably not the real marketing pro. Tony, what else you want to add?
I saw a question earlier. Tony, speak with Big Show about your philosophy on how to draft players. I don't know if there's a philosophy. For me, there's a few things I like. I like guys who are kamikaze missiles. I like guys who live and breathe football. And I typically like players that, how do I put this? It's not that I don't draft project players, but I want to see things that translate to the NFL. Even if you're a project, show me NFL wins at your position. Show me things that are repeatable that you can use as a foundation. And those are the things I look at. But on defense, I need kamikaze missiles. On offense, I need guys who want to run through your face every single play. And so that's how you build football teams. We look at Miami, all pros all over the place. They're soft. And the coaches are soft. And the
Badly.
team knows it. They have no edge to them. I'd rather have a guy get you a penalty like Dre Greenlaw here and there, but he brings the fire than to have a guy like Jalen Ramsey, who's a good player,
Oh,
is more about himself than he is about the team. I can't
isn't he,
do
though?
that.
So, you see, that's why it'd be interesting to watch you interview players. They meet all the intangibles you just mentioned, and then he says the wrong thing in an interview.
Yeah.
There's where it comes now. You've always got two. You got to have two guys lined up for every position, anyway. Maybe even three, because one of them's going to be annoying. He's going to be self-centered. This happens a lot in college anyway, because you're already the big man on campus. You get more love than you should. It tends to warp your mind. You get the idea that you're some kind of a diva that has something coming to him. And you see a lot of players like that. Jalen Ramsey, you mentioned him. Every wide receiver in the NFL, just about, with the exception of a few, you look at guys like Cooper Kupp, and I didn't think we had any, but Debo shocked me. Debo is just a female version of J-Lo. I said, come on, Debo, what is up, man? I mean, some of the things he did, BA scared me, but I kind of understand him. And But for the most part, wide receivers really bother me. Oh, God, they do. So we're going to have to go through that again. Oh, by the way, Brock Purdy. Now, and I meant to ask you this right off the top.
Yeah.
Now, Brock Purdy, a lot of people want Brock Purdy gone. Tony, your feeling on that?
We talked about this a bit in the episode for free agency. I don't think he's worth 50 plus. I really don't. What he put on film last year would worry me a little bit to pay him that much money. But I love Brock Purdy. And my solution, again, the only time I would ever say let him play out the year, don't pay him early, would be with Brock Purdy. They're waiting too long with Kittle. The one time they did it right was with Lenore. Now his contract looks like a steal, 5-year extension, and he just signed it. I wish they would do that more, but for Purdy, I would say let him sit for a year. If we have to pay him 60 next year, I'm fine with it because you've got the confirmation that he can make this as a top 10 quarterback because that's what you're paying him to be. If they pay him, this team is so good at finding talent and drafting. Quarterbacks getting paid doesn't like close your Super Bowl window. I've seen people say that. I saw Puka Nacua say it recently. If he gets more than 40, he's, closing the Super Bowl window.
Windows will close, I know, yeah.
Drafts open the window because now you have not one cost-controlled quarterback, but like 8 to 12 cost-controlled starters over a 2 to 3 year period. And that is where you open your window. So if they pay him, it's not the end of the world. He's a great player to be the face of the franchise. The character's there. He's going to do everything to be better. I don't think he's that 50-plus guy right now. He would need to prove a little more. And I think the injury played into it this year. Even though he said he's healthy, I don't buy it. I don't.
I think Brock plays in pain. There are times I'm wondering if he's okay. The offensive line has got to do better. They've got to keep those big hits off. Sometimes you see Purdy get hit, and you see him buried. It's not a big guy. You see him buried against this behemoth. You say, geez, I know that hurt. He gets up, dusts himself off, and he makes the next play. I said, Kyle, I think he ought to be taken to the sideline for at least one play. Check him out. Run the finger across. Let's see if he's okay. Because and then he does things afterward. Some of those INTs, I thought they were out of character for him sometimes. I'm not sure if he was in his right mind or feeling like he should. But, football players, you're not going to admit they're in pain or anything like that. Especially a quarterback. He thinks he's important. He's needed. And he's right. But let the coach know. We'll run a run play or something else. But, they're not like that.
He doesn't care about that. He just wants to be out there and be their first team, which I admire. But like you're saying, you've got to speak up.
Yeah. Because we took a lot of pain last year.
There were 2 more questions I saw. One was asking about O-line, why I didn't do more of it. The thing is, with these drafts, it's half predictive, half I like these players and I want to talk about them. There are just not good interior offensive line play in this class. Some of the guards are good. I really like some of the guards. I think the centers, you're converting guys from tackle or guard to play center, which you're not going to start day one. I also think in this class, you have guys on your line that the team loves already that I don't know if they'd even win the starting job, which to me would be a waste of a pick this year when you have this talent on the D-line and you have holes all across the D-line. So I still took Conerly at 43. He can play 3 positions on your line for you if you need him this year. I just don't think it's realistic. The team loves McKivitz and they love Brendel. Here's also what I would say to that. If you're playing the right way, the team the way it wants to, you are suffocating teams on defense to where it allows you to run the ball the whole game. And the 5 starters they have to run the ball are awesome. Top 10 in the league, even if they're a bottom half offensive line. They're really good at that. And so if you're playing your game on defense and you're making enough plays on offense, the pass protection becomes less important, even in playoff time. We saw in 2019, they ran their way to the Super Bowl. And in the Super Bowl, it got tougher because you're playing Chris Jones, which is going to be a problem if Brendel's starting, and I get that. But you have to get to the game first, right? You have to win 20 or play 20 games, win anywhere from 14 to 17 of those games to make the Super Bowl. And we'll worry about that when we get there. I think this makes your roster more well-rounded in the time being and gives you a better chance to get there. And then the second question was asking about quarterback. I don't think they're going to get a free agent guy. They already signed Mac Jones, who I think is a starting level player in the league with Kyle. They have Tanner Mordecai, who's on the practice squad. They might bring in another guy like a UDFA to compete. I just don't see them doing the whole veteran quarterback thing again. They're going to look at Mac Jones and say, if Purdy's hurt, we're going to throw you in there. And you're not this developmental guy. You also don't suck like Brandon Allen. We're going to have a number 3 who's not going to challenge either of you. A guy I like from Minnesota, Max Brosmer, very underrated quarterback. He's more of a point guard than anything. He's not going to make wild throws, weaker arm, but I think he could be a good QB3 if they wanted to take him late day 3.
Tanner Mordecai is still hanging around, right? Tony,
Yeah.
I hear Tanner Mordecai wasn't even allowed into the game, preseason games last year. What about Tanner Mordecai? About Mordecai? What's the story?
I'll be
on
honest. I have really not watched him play. I took a break after the draft last year, all the way up to week 1 or 2 of the season. So I was not there for the preseason game. So I can't tell you a whole lot about him. I just know that the fans loved him and the team loves him.
Right.
And he'll have a shot to compete for QB3.
Yeah, a lot of people love him, and you didn't miss anything. We didn't see him in preseason football either. It was like, as if, and then it came up with the urban myths, urban legends, right? Yeah, Kyle's keeping him hidden, so nobody cherry picks him off this practice squad.
That's not how it works. They want Dobbs and Allen to compete for 2 and 3. That's all it was.
But you know what? It is going to be interesting to see, though, what develops, because as you know, Kyle did like the Jones boy coming out of school. He admitted to it last year. Was it 2 years ago? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't blame him. Ronbo, I had him as my second-ranked quarterback in that class.
I remember
and
that.
looking back, I don't think that's far off. I really don't. He was a guy, to me, if he went to Kyle's scheme, he has a better arm than Purdy. I think the processing is slightly faster. A lot of the issues you saw in New England, people forget, he was the runner-up for Offensive Rookie of the Year, and Jamar Chase beat him, one of the 3 best receivers in football. That was his award if Jamar Chase doesn't come out that year. And then they gave Matt Patricia, a career defensive coordinator, and Joe Judge, a career special teams guy, to say, put together an offense for him. The culture was horrible. The preparation was horrible. And the preparation is so important. The things you're seeing on film directly dictate what decisions you make in the game and how you're going to play. And he had the worst support probably ever at that position for a team in the 2000s. So you get him Kyle Shanahan, you get him Clay Kubiak, guarantee you it's going to look way different, and I'm really high on him. I really am.
No, because I'm wanting to see if exactly what you're saying, because I've always wondered about that. Now, we're going to find out a little bit about that this year. Also, you look at what happened when we got, the guy we just had the year before last, he went over to Minnesota, did a great thing.
Sam Darnold.
See, Sam Darnold was great at SC. Outstanding. He comes to the NFL, and they send him to the Jets. Nobody's going to do well with the Jets. And I said, I don't know if we can judge Sam Darnold completely by the Jets. How many times has a quarterback went to the Jets to die? There's 2 or 3 teams you're going to go to die. It's Cleveland, the Jets. There's probably a couple others too. But you're not going to thrive as a young quarterback going to these clubs. So I'm not sure if we can make a closing assessment. Darnold does absolutely. He starts to come around when he got with the Panthers, and then Kyle noticed that. He picked him up because he fits the program. He came in with us, and people booed him right away. This is prejudice. This is out-and-out prejudice. Can we wait a minute before we just decide he's just no good? So, I agree. I want to see Mac Jones a little more and see what he looks like.
I think with Mac, the one thing Purdy has over him is the mental fortitude, but he had that at Alabama. The NFL can change you, and it's not like he'll just automatically revert back to Alabama, but he had the composure there. And so a lot of the things with Darnold was just bad decision-making and getting flustered by pressure and many other things. He had a top O-line this year, made it much easier for him. Not to say he didn't make good plays under pressure, but he's just not great under pressure generally. With Mac Jones, you're going to get the same, is the mental fortitude there? I think more of it was the culture that he was playing around. He made some really high-level throws for Jacksonville in his limited time this past year when Lawrence was out. So I have full confidence in him, not just as a backup, but if Purdy gets hurt, we're going to win games with him, and I believe that.
I kind of agree, Tony. I really do. I got to see this. Tony, we're going to wrap, and again, I'm going to see you on draft night.
Sounds good.
This
I
should
can't
be
wait.
fun this year. Oh, appreciate you, fam. I'll see you
right.
draft night. Fam,
Sounds good. Anyone who wants to know, I have my big board up on my X account. It's in my bio if you wanted to look at the way I rank the players before we get to the draft. Aside from that, I'll see you on Thursday, Rombo.
All right, and you'll see Tony's name on all social media listed down below in the comments. You'll find Tony, and you can find him in any place that there's talking football. Tony's there. Tony, appreciate you. Thanks. We'll talk to you shortly.
All right, appreciate you, Rombo. Take care.
All right. We're going to take a few minutes. We're going to wrap and give you a chance to, we want to hear your insights on what we should be doing on draft night as well. Coming up in just a few minutes. Meanwhile, thanks for the contributions, fam. Day 9